Welcome to our first adventure exploring true hauntings in Montana. Today, we'll talk about ghosts in Garnet. The town of Garnet is located 6,000 feet up in the Garnet Range. It was once an important gold mining center. In the early 1900s, the town boomed. Its 4 hotels were full. There were stores and barber shops, a post office and a school. Now it sits empty, a historical landmark watched over by the Bureau of Land Management and visited by tourists every year. It is a true Western ghost town. The Bureau of Land Management first decided to have someone stay year-round in the winter of 72-73. The problem was that someone was burning down the old buildings in the town. The man they chose to stay there was Mike Gordon. Winter in the Garnet area is usually severe. At one time, in the old mining town, they were so snowed in, men had to travel 9 miles through the mining tunnels to get supplies. Mike found that winter conditions hadn't changed much. The Bureau of Land Management had given him a snowmobile to use, but the snow was so thin and fine, the snowmobile just couldn't get up the steep road known as the China Grade that led to Garnet. Mike, to travel, had to use snowshoes or skis. He used a toboggan to get his supplies. The snow was piled as high as a roof behind the cabin Mike was staying in by midwinter. Mike would often have to cut stairs in the snow to get to the higher portion of the hill behind his cabin. It was January. Mike was looking forward to the end of his snowbound isolation. His days were a constant Jack London-style struggle to keep the ever-hungry wood stove fed. It was in between feedings of the stove, while he was writing a letter, that he thought he heard faint music coming from somewhere in the town. At first he thought he was just imagining it, but the more he listened, the more it sounded like honky-tonk music. After listening for some time, he decided to go out and investigate. He walked outside and down the main street of Garnet. A few doors down was the old Kelly Saloon. It was a 2-story building which housed the saloon downstairs and the family living quarters upstairs. The bottom floor, the floor where the bar had been, was boarded up. It was from inside this saloon that music, still faint but clear, came. It was cold. Wind blew bits of snow off the drifts. There were no tracks on the main street leading to the Kelly Saloon. Mike felt he had to investigate. He climbed the snow steps at the back of his house and worked his way to the back of the Kelly Saloon, where he knew he could get in. A plank ran from the hill to a door on the 2nd floor. As he walked, he looked for tracks in the snow. There were none, but the sound of honky-tonk music persisted. He stepped out onto the plank, and it creaked under his weight. The sun was shining in the sky, but Mike felt the loneliness and desolation of the ghost town. Deciding maybe it wasn't such a good idea after all, he went back to his cabin. After a while, though, his curiosity got the better of him. He went back across the snow to the Kelly Saloon. The music was still playing. He walked across the plank and eased open the door. He was in the living area above the bar. Across the room were 2 bedrooms. Along the side of the room was a stairway going down to the bar. The music was still faintly playing. He walked across the room and looked down. As he looked over the staircase, the music stopped. He forced himself to go downstairs. The room was completely empty and completely still. Since then, Mike has wondered if he imagined the whole thing at the Kelly Saloon. True Hauntings in Montana is grateful to the Garnet Preservation Association for their aid in getting us into the Kelly Saloon. They do need funds, however, to put a new concrete foundation on some of the buildings in Garnet. Without those foundations, the buildings will not last much longer. You can send your contributions to the Garnet Preservation Association, Post Office Box 2245, Missoula, Montana 59806. Thank you for watching True Hauntings in Montana.
Action!
Can you look at us?
Yes.
Do it again, don't look at us!
That's a good shot.